Cold calling scripts, platforms to build them in 2025. Cold calling scripts in 2025. The phone still works, but generic doesn't. Cold calling isn't dead in 2025. Static scripts are. Across large-scale benchmark data, the average call-to-meeting rate sits around 2.3%, while top teams reach 6.7% plus. Not because they talk better, but because they operationalize better scripts inside the right platforms. If you're leading an SDR team, running an outbound sales agency motion, or evaluating cold calling services, the real advantage is getting the right talk track on screen at the exact moment a prospect answers. The most important shift is where your script lives. If your script is a PDF buried in Slack or a Word doc in a shared drive, reps will wing it, especially under pressure, and your messaging will drift fast. In modern B2B cold calling, adoption beats perfection. The best script is the one your cold callers actually use on every live connect. In this guide, we'll lay out the platform categories that matter most in 2025: sales engagement, dialers, AI assist, conversation intelligence, and enablement, and how to connect them so scripts become a living playbook. We'll also show how we think about this at SalesHive, where our cold calling team runs inside our own platform and dialer to keep scripts, lists, and outcomes tightly connected. The goal is simple: improve connect-to-meeting outcomes without turning your reps into robots. Why scripts still matter. The math of connects makes every conversation expensive. Most teams don't lose because they can't cold call. They lose because they waste the few real conversations they earn. Typical connection rates are often only 3 to 10% per 100 dials, which means your reps may get just 3 to 10 live shots to create momentum. When the live connect is scarce, a weak opener or sloppy next step ask can erase the value of an entire call block. Buyers are still open to phone outreach when it's relevant. Research cited in 2025 benchmarks shows 57% of C-level executives prefer to be contacted by phone, and 69% of buyers accept calls from new salespeople if the message is actually aligned to their needs. That's why scripts aren't training wheels. They're a relevance system that keeps your positioning consistent across an outsourced sales team or an in-house SDR agency-style org. To keep expectations grounded, here's how the benchmarks typically stack up across channels and call stages. Use this to set realistic targets for your cold calling services and to justify investing in the tooling that makes scripts usable in real time. What modern scripting looks like. Decision trees, not monologues. In 2025, the strongest cold calling scripts read less like a speech and more like a guided flow. We want short prompts that create options, an opener that earns permission, a few discovery questions that uncover pain, and a tight next step that's easy to say yes to. Think choose your own adventure with guardrails, not word-for-word theater. This is also where teams tend to overcorrect. Over-scripting forces reps to sound robotic, which increases resistance and makes it harder to adapt when prospects interrupt, challenge you, or ask unexpected questions. The better approach is a structured call flow that preserves authenticity. Reps hit the same key beats, but in their own voice. The other common failure is running one generic script for every persona. A CFO cares about risk, efficiency, and predictability. A head of sales cares about pipeline, conversion, and speed. So a single talk track will feel irrelevant to at least one of them. The winning pattern is a small portfolio of variants by persona, segment, and trigger that share 70% of the skeleton while swapping the opener, value bullets, and proof points. Build scripts where reps already work. Your home platform and version control. If your scripts aren't embedded in the tools reps live in, they won't be used consistently, especially by newer reps you hire SDRs for, or by an outsourced SDR team ramping quickly. Pick a single home platform for scripts. your sales engagement platform like Outreach, SalesLoft, Apollo, or HubSpot, your dialer, or your enablement system. From there, sync and surface the same playbook everywhere else so the messaging stays consistent. Version control matters more than most teams expect. When scripts live in static docs, updates lag, reps copy-paste old language, and managers coach against outdated talk tracks. Then everyone argues anecdotes in pipeline review. A strong system locks the canonical script in one place, pushes updates automatically, and makes it obvious which version is live. Finally, wire scripts to outcomes. If you can't tag which opener or CTA was used on a call, you can't do real optimization. You can only debate opinions. Your dialer and CRM should capture call dispositions. Meeting booked, not a fit, call back, and tie them to the script variant so you can improve connect-to-meeting rates with evidence, not gut feel. A script that isn't surfaced inside the dialer at the moment of truth isn't a script, it's a suggestion. Platforms that surface scripts in real time, sales engagement tools, and dialers. For most teams, the cleanest place to operationalize scripts is a sales engagement platform, SEP, because it naturally ties talk tracks to sequences, tasks, and personas. The SEP becomes the script distribution layer. A call step pulls up the right prompts, pre-filled with CRM context so reps don't tab hop. This is especially useful for a B2B sales agency or sales outsourcing model where consistent messaging across many reps is non-negotiable. If your motion is phone-heavy, a dedicated power dialer becomes the primary script surface. Power dialers also reduce wasted rep time by handling busy signals, voicemails, and no answers at scale. Some vendors claim a 5 to 10x productivity lift versus manual dialing. The practical win is simple: more live conversations per hour with the script, objections, and next step prompts visible in the same call window. The mistake to avoid here is treating dialer scripting as a single wall of text. High-performing teams load modular prompts, opener options, permission-based pivots when the prospect is rushed, and quick branches for common objections like, "We already have a vendor," or "Send me an email." This structure keeps your cold call services consistent while still letting your reps sound human. AI and conversation intelligence. Draft faster, coach better, and keep scripts current. AI native tooling is now a major advantage, but only if you use it the right way. Generative AI can draft persona-specific openers and objection responses quickly, and real-time assist can surface prompts based on what the prospect says. The best teams let AI produce the first draft, then have experienced sellers strip out fluff, sharpen the language, and pressure test the flow against real calls. Conversation intelligence tools raise your script quality by turning calls into data. When recordings, transcripts, and outcomes are searchable, managers can build a library of golden calls mapped to specific scripts and objections, which accelerates onboarding for new cold callers. This also solves the stale script problem because you can hear when buyer language changes and update your positioning before performance drifts. The most common miss is implementing call recording without closing the loop back to the script itself. If you review calls but don't update the snippets in the platform reps use daily, nothing changes operationally. Build a recurring cadence, monthly in fast markets, quarterly at minimum, to review outcomes, refresh proof points, and publish updates through the same systems your outbound sales agency motion runs on. Turn scripts into a performance system, A/B testing, and the metrics that matter. Script performance should be a metric, not a vibe. At a minimum, track connect rate, connect to meeting rate, dials to meeting, and meeting show rate by script variant. When a baseline average sits around 2.3% call to meeting, even small lifts compound quickly if your team is making hundreds or thousands of dials per week. To A/B test scripts in practice, change one element at a time and hold everything else constant. Test an opener against another opener, or a CTA against another CTA and run each variant over a meaningful volume of calls before you draw conclusions. The teams that reach 6.7% plus aren't lucky. They consistently prune losing talk tracks and scale what works across the whole cold calling team. Be careful not to optimize for the wrong thing. Lower handle time doesn't automatically mean better performance, and longer calls don't automatically mean higher quality. The truth is in outcomes by variant. When you build reporting that ties recordings and dispositions to scripts, you can coach with precision and stop relying on one-off anecdotes. Choosing your stack and when to outsource, a practical path for 2025. If you're a small team, start with the platform your reps already live in. Adoption will beat feature depth almost every time. A SEP or CRM first setup can be enough to centralize scripts, enforce version control, and surface talk tracks during call tasks. Once you're consistently executing, add a dialer and conversation intelligence to unlock higher call volume and better coaching. If you're scaling quickly or you need pipeline now, sales outsourcing can be the fastest path to a mature scripting and calling system without building everything in-house. As a cold calling agency, we've seen that outsourced only works when the partner runs a repeatable process, persona-based scripts, clean list building, tight QA, and transparent reporting. That's also why many teams pair phone with a cold email agency-style motion, using what they learn on calls to sharpen messaging across every channel. At SalesHive, we focus on making scripts usable in the real workflow. The script is embedded in the dialer, tied to lists and outcomes, and reviewed on a consistent cadence so it doesn't go stale. Whether you build internally or work with an outsourced sales team, the play is the same. Pick one source of truth, surface it everywhere reps work, and review performance monthly so your improvements compound through 2025.